Welcome to Voice with Vielka, the podcast dedicated to the ongoing quest for finding how to best teach kids to sing with confidence. I'm your host, Vielka, and I'll share my experiences as a performer, educator, founder, and mother for the last 20 years here in the heart of New York City. Thank you for joining me as I share with you the amazing people, practices, and talking points to help us grow together as singers, educators, entrepreneurs, and human beings. Welcome to Voice with Vielka. I am so excited and delighted to have today with us the remarkable Robert Miller. Based in the San Francisco Bay Area, Robert is a celebrated classical guitarist known for his intense, emotional, and graceful performances. His debut duo recording, Corta Haka, has been lauded by Classical Guitar magazine as one of the finest recordings out there, truly a testament to his exceptional talent and artistry. Beyond his impressive performance career, Robert is a dedicated educator and visionary entrepreneur. In 2011, he co-founded the California Conservatory of Music, which now enriches the lives of over 1,300 students in the Bay Area. His commitment to nurturing young talent has led his students to win top honors and be featured on NPR's From the Top. Additionally, he co-founded the Peninsula Guitar Series to bring international guitar talent to the community, and the Goals program, providing free music education to underserved youth. Robert's innovation extends to the digital realm as well. He co-founded Practice Space, a groundbreaking platform that provides a dynamic online environment for music teachers and students worldwide. With degrees from Ithaca College and Eastman School of Music and further studies in Belgium, Robert's blend of artistry, education, and digital innovation is truly inspiring. I am personally super psyched to have Robert on our show today because when I was in the middle of searching, I want to say I did at least a 2-year search, searching for an amazing platform that would help my students capture their assignments and be fun and be kid-friendly. I found Robert, and it has only gotten better and better. So please join me in welcoming the amazing Robert Miller. Hi, Robert. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I need you to rewrite my bio for me. That's incredible. Thank you. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. It's good to see you as always, and thanks for
So
having
good to
me.
see you. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Robert, why don't you start by just breaking it down a little bit for us and sharing with us your story of, how did you get here? When did you fall in love with music and guitar, and how did you take this incredible journey to where you are?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was in fourth grade. I remember my dad coming around. I was in the backyard, and I remember him coming around the garage with a little like half size acoustic guitar. And I always enjoyed it. I didn't get really super serious about it until I was in maybe like seventh, eighth grade, and then throughout high school, and then yeah, I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to take the risk and going to study like a passion of mine in college, and just kept going from there. And then, professionally, like, yeah, like after I finished my master's degree at Eastman, I was fortunate to to get a fellowship with a great organization called the Belgian American Educational Foundation, which is basically like an educational exchange between America and Belgium. It's very similar to like how a Fulbright works, but it's just specific to Belgium and then America for Belgians. And I was able to go study with, one of my real true mentor, Rafaela Smits, amazing, honest person and musician. And then after that, I moved to California to teach at a music school of Frank Longe, who was an amazing Suzuki guitar pedagogue. And he had started a school, and in very long story short, in 2000, that was 2009 and 2011, he unfortunately passed away. And but it was pretty shocking, and sudden and sad. And the community at the school, it was pretty small then. It was only classical guitar, so it was like super niche. But because of that tight knit community, a lot of people rallied around Chris, who you also know, who co-founded Practice Space with me. They rallied around Chris and myself, and yeah, so we kind of just took the reins and started to continue in Frank's vision, and then in over time kind of made it our own, and things changed, some things stayed the same. And that's led to a lot of different opportunities. One of which was Practice Space, which is how I know you, and yeah, so here we are today.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. There's so much that we could talk about in there. I
yeah,
know
we
it's
can
really
talk
hard
about
to
whatever
sum
you
up.
want. Yeah, it is, but it's 10,000 foot view, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious when you mentioned Frank's vision, what that
Sure,
was and what you held on to that you felt like. Because I get the sense
sure.
like he was so impactful and this really guidance,
Sure. I mean,
guiding
from
light.
front, yeah, for sure. I mean, we all, it's music is an interesting field for many reasons. One kind of maybe flaw that happens is that in the educational system is that, when you go to a conservatory to study performance, you master an art form, you master an instrument, and then a really high percentage of the people that come out of these programs are um, going to teach, and you're going to work with kids, or even if you work at a university or a college. I mean, they're 18. I mean, they're kids. They're not six, but they're young. And maybe I shouldn't make it like so broad, but at least in my experience, one thing that I didn't know how to do was work with a kid. I didn't know how to set someone up to play well. And Frank uh, taught me how to do that. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he was getting 3-year-old kids, 4-year-old kids to play guitar well.
Oh,
And then the level of his school was tremendous because he had these kids that had started at that young age, and um, had continued on. So, I mean, just anybody who does anything for that long, no matter what your level of talent is going to really become quite skilled and quite able at that thing that they've been doing. And then, Frank also, I would say like so it was heavy Suzuki, heavy parental involvement in the lessons. And I think that just the framework of from an educational point of view of how you get a beginning guitar student from point A to being able to play like at a really high level was probably the most impactful for me and also for our school, and that definitely continues on today. um, and then I think that it's the biggest difference is just that it's not as kind of um, um, well, I don't want to say it's not as strict like Suzuki. Like they like to sign up at Frank's school, you had a parent had to do a 12-week group class with other parents before the kid could start, right? I
wow.
mean, we that's like so serious, but it's like when a parent calls our school and wants to sign their kid up for a guitar lab, that's a tough sell, like so
And
some things we've had to change.
schedules are busier now, right? Like I think
Schedules are
something
busier.
changed with the time when we were bombarded as a parent with emails, texts, work, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, we try with young kids. We still have like the parent do like the first three classes, but they're private at the same time as the kid will take because that's when the parent's going to have to bring them anyway. And then we try to encourage parents to stay involved. And I think that there is a link here between practice space and the essence of the parental involvement, which is um, music's difficult. It's not an easy, no matter what instrument, everything has its own innate difficulties. And there's a lot of self-learning that goes on because students generally just come and meet with their teacher once a week, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. And then they have to go home and remember these abstract ideas, whether they're musical or theoretical or physical, and having content that a teacher, with practice space, right? One feature, one functionality is that teachers can easily record quick demonstration videos and upload that to a student's assignment. They can put PDFs and all that stuff in. So when the student, I don't know, I don't remember how to do that fingering. I don't remember what that vocal exercise was, how my teacher wanted me to open up my soft palate. Sorry, I'm not a singer, but that sounds right. Um, it's so I feel like maybe there's some abstract ways that we kept some of the essence of what Frank wanted alive through practice space. And I'll tell you right now, like one big thing that Frank did at his school is like he would have these plaques on the wall that were like someone practiced every day for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And Chris and I are like, I haven't done that. It's incredible. So like, yeah, with streaks and stuff like that in practice space, but yeah.
I mean, there is so much that I love, love, love in here. First off, for those of you who aren't aware of Practice Space, that's when the first thing that you should do is click on the link. We'll have it in the show notes, and go check it out. I loved it myself and fell in love with it, and then fell in love with you because you created this amazing thing that really does appeal to kids. Because the first thing is, when I was looking, there were a lot of apps out there that were very conscientious about how they would capture the assignments, maybe even reorder assignments, have stuff in there. But it was not very appealing for a user, and especially for a user that's a child.
Yeah.
And if you're competing with video games and practice time, I think it makes sense and to do what you did, which is to get some of that gamifying happening only towards this really great music education. And so the streaks, the gems that they can collect, right? So basically, if you have to sum up to someone who's never seen Practice Space before, how do you describe it?
Yeah, for practice space, I just describe it as like a digital assignment notebook with a fun practice app for the student. In like one sentence. I mean, these things, this kind of platform exists widely. Like it's a learning management system, but so, when like big corporations onboard new employees, right, they have some sort of LMS that they use for training. Obviously, yeah, like music teachers, we're not in touch with that world. So like it's basically like a learning management system for music students, but I think a digital assignment notebook is, we're all used to having these things that, you write down what to practice this week. And it's archaic. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If it works, that's great. I just think that there's just so many, like, what are you going to write out a link to a YouTube video and then they put it in the URL. Like, it's just, there's so much you have to offer your students that are outside of you yourself, right? Like online resources. And then there's things that you can create that you can use time and time again, right?
Yeah,
So
so
I
let's
mean, I
pause
don't
here
know
for
if
a
you want to
second. I
go
want to
deep. Yeah, like,
I want to paint the
I
picture.
do want to touch on one thing that you said that I think
Yeah.
is important about what differentiates practice space from virtually like all of our competitors is that we started with the student experience. We don't charge students, we don't advertise for students. There's virtually no revenue generated from a student user, right? They cost money, if anything. But we knew that like if you're a teacher, you have like say a teacher has 20, 30 students and then or a school, like whoever, it's like I sell practice space to you, but you kind of in some ways you don't sell. Some teachers do literally sell memberships on practice, but like generally people let their students use it for free, right? And or it's like an upsell or like some sort of added benefit for a certain customer. But if those people don't like it, it doesn't matter if you love it, right? So like that was we knew before we started that was important. And it was also kind of like we also were making it for our students. So but we're always kind of thinking that way, and now it's really important to keep that ideal in mind because now we have a much larger business and there's a lot of teachers requesting things. Like our communication is not, I don't talk to students ever about practice space. So but yeah, so I'm glad that that kind of jived with you and you noticed that, as
Oh,
far
for
as the
sure.
student
I
side.
mean, let me
Yeah,
brag about it a little bit more.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, first off, it was really clear from the start that it was made, like you said, for the student and with the student in mind, and that
Yeah.
it's very easy that, when you log in to practice space as a student, you see this colorful, bright blue bird, you see this
Yeah.
big, round, green play button, and it's very easy, even for a young child, to recognize, okay, where do I hit play? And it
Yeah.
starts to track the time and save the time. And then as they're doing their assignments, which are easy to click through and see additional information that's tied or media that's tied to each of those assignments, that as they're doing that they, once they capture that tracked lesson, it gives them gems, they get points, there's a leaderboard, they can upgrade their avatar. Like basically my sell to the kids is, okay, this is what you're going to use to track your practice and see your assignments. Like when you do it, make sure you practice for at least 2 minutes and then it gets captured, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
we can see your practice. You can send us videos of you
Yep.
practicing. And we personally in our studio have a challenge every month where for the people who have the most days practice, they win a prize from us. And within that app itself, you're still going to win prizes. You can change out the avatar. Like for me, oh my gosh, seeing that you can change the blue bird to like a Frankenstein or mummy for
Yeah.
Halloween is
Yeah.
like, you've got me. Like you get it.
Yeah.
You get that this is like really important, right? That I can have some sort of reward in addition to the, of course, intrinsic rewards that we want to foster, but especially for kids, like we need a little bit more than that, right? Because music does, like you said, it's difficult, it takes time, and we want to encouraging the streaks, the fact that it pops up and we'll give you these streaks, the certificates. I never before you, Robert, had a student where I don't think that I was able to, first off, really like technically track the streak of practice right before you.
Yeah.
Like that would have
Yeah.
been, there was old school like paper, pencil stuff, but it would have been hard. And what happened was that I had several students for the first time ever where they were so diligent and on their own. They just kept going 100-day streaks. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I mean, especially that type of kid. And I think if you're listening and I'm sure you, Robert, like know who I'm talking about. Some kids are those like, let's make a list, check the box, I'm diligent, like do 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 do. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is an easy sell for them because they get so rewarded. And then even for those who have a hard time or are just young, the video component. I mean, the fact that you could make videos, that it was so easy to capture things, that you can link in other videos, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, the favorite button from the teacher perspective for me is copy last lesson.
Yeah.
Copy the last lesson notes, and then you just edit, you change, you tweak that, and then the library that you can have a library, this data bank of things that you find yourself saying a million times, that you can now have it in there, and that it's just easy. You don't have to, again, reinvent the wheel, take that extra time. With a few clicks, you can easily put it in there. And then serving a whole teacher community. And I saw that in the future, you're going to have a shared library.
Yeah,
Yes.
we will. Yeah,
I'm so excited.
we started working on it this week, so yeah.
Oh my God. You're making my dreams come true. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it should be nice. I mean, I know it's been something a lot of people have asked for a while. It's just yeah.
But it's
So,
one step at a time, and you've built this incredible product and service that is really
yeah.
now the latest updates are awesome. So the latest updates that I've seen is that you can chat with students, you can put them in groups and have like a little chat on the side
Yeah.
or outside of the assignments. So you get a little of that social component if you want. And it's sort of an optional and
Yeah,
kind of
you can
well
turn that on and
structured.
off. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I love that. And then the challenges. I'm going to create my first challenge. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And that you can create these custom challenges, and then tell us a little bit more about the challenges and
Yeah, I would love
yeah.
to tell. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. It's been so we didn't have chat for a long time, and a lot of our users didn't really want it. And then it's like half the people want it, half the people didn't. So you can turn it on and off. But like you said, one reason over time that we saw people wanted chat was because they wanted to create groups of students. And even if they didn't teach group, they wanted to be able to say hey, this is a performance room. Send videos of you practicing this or that, or getting ready for a recital. And it started to we started to realize it's like the essence of what teachers are trying to get at is they want to engage their community, they want to engage their studio. And like that's maybe even why like a lot of people like practice space, because of like the things like the streaks, right? It's engaging, it's motivating, right? So and yeah, so it's just kind of like you can customize some of these you can create challenges, you can set a start date. Like I was looking through, we released this like a week ago, and there's like hundreds of challenges I was looking through already, like what people are doing. But like this like September streak, right? Like you can say like get a 20-day streak in September, and then you can, if you want, you mentioned the intrinsic versus extrinsic, like you can just leave it like you did it. You don't have to put a reward in. You can if you want. Um, and so yeah, well, there's practice challenges, which can be like an amount of practices or a streak. So like do complete 20 practices in September, or do a 20-day streak, so 20 in a row in September, or you don't even have to set an end date. There's a video challenge. So like you mentioned, students can practice, students can record practice videos in the app, and that started as a self-reflective feature. Like it was really just so I just feel like one of the best things students and musicians can do for themselves is like record themselves. And I feel like high level musicians have this skill of being really clear on what they're hearing when they're playing. And then there's this other like larger subset of people that it's like they think it sounds a certain way and then they hear it and they're like, that's, like it's like hearing yourself speak, like that's what I sound like, right? So it started as, and then so many teachers wanted to be able to view these. So now like they can share the videos like to their practice feed, which the teacher can see, or they can send them in the chat, or now they can record them and they'll post to the challenge. And then there's a custom challenge where it's like whatever you want it to be, it is, right? So like do the recital, and then you can just mark it off as if it's completed or not. And then, one thing that we're going to add is the ability to like attach, because that was like one that I didn't see coming, was like these like 30-piece, 5-piece challenges is like super popular within a week. And so now,
Wait,
so we'll add.
Tell me what that means. What's that mean exactly?
Well, like people will say, like if like complete these like 20 pieces or like exercises or whatever, right? But you can't right now add that content. So like say you have like a PDF of 10 pieces that you want the students to learn. And then when they do all that, they've completed the challenge, but we don't have, like, it would be nice to put the pieces in the challenge, right? Or to record a video in the challenge. So we're going to add that, these things, like you always release, see what people need, and then follow up. And then, the only other side of the challenge thing is that back to the engagement is that you can, there's social settings, which you don't have to allow. You can keep the challenge between you and the student, or you can let all students within a challenge, like see each other's progress, hopefully kind of creating some positive camaraderie amongst the students. And, they can comment on it, on each other's progress and stuff like that. And, that can also be set like at the student side too. So that's one thing that we're focused on, is also giving parents some more control over the student experience, because I feel like that's important.
I have to say, one of my students showed up and was like, "Who's Oliver Kay?"
Yeah. Right.
And I loved it because I knew exactly why she was saying that. She was saying that because she's seen these other names that she doesn't actually know them in person, right? She's never met them virtually or in person, but she knows the names from the leaderboard, and she loves competition, right?
I know.
I think it builds camaraderie. Great. It builds this idea of really bringing out the best of each other in a competition, where it gives you more reasons to practice and also to celebrate. And I think as far as building a community, especially one like ours, where we're hybrid, we're online, virtual, worldwide, and then we also have in-person students in the city, it gives us a platform that is well monitored, that has no noise, that is built for kids, which was important to me, and can bring everyone together. And I just love it so much. And I wanted to share with you that one of the ways that we're starting to use it, and I did a separate podcast that you can refer to about private video coaching, is as a separate service to actually explore what video lessons alone can do. And so what I mean is, some people have started to use Marco Polo, which is video texting essentially, right? So you're just sending videos back and forth, and it keeps that. I didn't like the idea when it came to our students, because it felt very public, very out there. I really wanted to be part of our world that's controlled. And so it's just perfect. It's perfect because now we're able to send a video lesson, have the student send us a video back. Exactly what you were saying about that ability to watch the video. So I have a very clear protocol, right? So you can do anything with it, but what I have done is come up with a clear protocol of like, okay, here's the assignment, here's the 2 videos that you're going to send us. When you create a video, you're then going to watch it, you're going to make notes, you're going to see what you can adjust on your own, try again, and then send. So it's a much deeper conversation. I actually tested it out with my NYU students that I had last year, just that videoing back and forth, not on practice space, but just that idea. And it's so effective, actually. So I think it's something that it's, I know not the regular use, but I think it's a really great way for students to continue to grow. It's another service that can be offered to students that are really busy, or maybe don't have the price, want a more modest price point than actual live lessons, or dealing with the scheduling. There are a lot of reasons why it can work, but it works so beautifully on your app, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, no, that's actually a popular, it might be more of a popular use than you think, like the asynchronous side of things. Yeah. I think the most the most widely used application that like is represented of that is like makeup lessons, right?
Exactly. Us too.
Yeah. So like, it's really helpful if students record videos regularly on the platform, because then the teacher has something to give them feedback on. Yeah, I mean, it's like super easy, like for students to record a video and send it in the chat. And if I'm your student and I say, hey, I'm going to be out next week, hey, no problem. What I want you to do is just records videos of you practicing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your lesson time next week, and I'm going to sit down, review all your videos. I'm going to create you a lesson based on those videos. I'm going to send you some videos right back. Sorry, do not disturb.
And I'll just jump in and say the benefit of video is the replay. When you're not videoing, you are getting the main ideas, but there's a lot of nuance that can easily get lost. And even with the video, it takes additional training, I feel like, to really be at a high level of musicianship, to start to notice, replay, but there's this little adjustment here. There's this that's happening. It's a bigger conversation. And I think video, as YouTube will testify to, is like, you can learn so much from videos, and the video component, whether it's self-learning or learning from someone else, on this platform, it's fantastic.
You can. Yeah. I think the difficulty with which I think that you, correctly and were intelligent to address, is like, it opens up a floodgate. So I think teachers need to be really clear and communicative about how much response to expect, and like be clear about how, because I don't have a way to like cap these things right now. I mean, we could, but it's like, if someone sends you all these videos and they expect responses, and it's like they just take private lessons, it's too much. So that's why some people turn it off. But I do think if you're clear about like what it's there for, like it's for when you miss, or it's for people that are part of this other program that I have, because I have always thought also about practice spaces, like it exists, like the platform exists in this space that is between like a private music lesson and like a course. If I take lessons with you privately, you can really individualize and personalize the instruction towards my ineptitudes, which if we're singing are going to be many. But a course is going to have no idea what, there's obviously some general things that people need to understand and need to be good at to do something well. but it's not going to be able to address your like a person's specific issues, right? So like, yeah, with the asynchronous thing, it's not even practice based. It's just what we're talking about is like asynchronous learning. You can address that. And it's just it's harder to it's harder for that to be its own thing, its own standalone thing. So like we have people that have like things like Kajabi or like communities, and it's a very small subset of users, or like people that have Patreons, right? And
Mhm.
then it's like an upsell that they get like video responses through Practice Space. They get to be member of their community on Practice Space. Um, so it's like, and then obviously there's people that are teachers, like whether it be like have private studio or like a music teacher at a public school who uses it, and then they supplement, with the asynchronous thing. But there's no one that only does that. But it's interesting to see those two kind of subsets grow and see how they use it. And but I would say, yeah, again, like just to hone it in, because it is a big problem for music teachers, is makeup lessons suck. Someone misses your lesson and they expect you to spend another 30 hour of your time. Like you can't scale that, you can't grow time. So you have to have policies that protect your schedule from that. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of parents, a lot of families, a lot of students, they just want value. They want to feel like they're not losing something completely. So if you say like, hey, I totally understand that you're going to be out, this is how we do it, you're still going to get a lot of value out of it because the video lasts forever. I can really take the time to think about what you sent me. And I'm still going to designate 100% of my focus to your child during their lesson time. It's just going to be asynchronous that for this 1 week. Um,
Yeah, I have to say, we have a student who's an in-person New York City
yeah,
private student, and these are premium prices, as you can imagine.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
And they had to miss a lesson, and I made this policy change because of everything you're saying, because I really want to honor teachers' time. I really feel like as a field, we have to really treat ourselves as professionals first in order to be treated by others in that way, and that you can't make up the time. Like there is no time. I have so many faculty members who are busy performing or
Yeah,
teaching
exactly.
that there is
Yeah.
no extra time to make up, right? They literally just have these slots and that's it.
Yeah.
So this one in-person student, we stuck to the rules. The policy was you get an asynchronous video lesson. That was part of it. And I wasn't sure how they were going to react. And the feedback I heard was how much she loved it, that she loved making the video. She loved making the video back. It was just another kind of reinforcement of like, hey, this really works. It's really great. And exactly to your point about value, that you can still provide a service and get value. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're just missing out and it's a lost day.
Yeah. 100%. And people also need to remember that these, like, I think like you have to sell stuff to your students as far as like your policies, and like it's hard to just be like no makeups, because there's no upside. Like that's only upside for you. So if you can say, hey, we're not doing makeups or we're not rescheduling classes, like this is how we do it, and then you explain the value and you have like stories like that to tell, it's very powerful. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking at the time. I know we have to wrap up soon. I wanted to
Yeah.
pick your brain for a second, just given that you not only do this incredible practice-based app, but that you have this music school and so many students. What are maybe your top 1 to 3 things that come to mind for our voice teachers who maybe they're starting out or maybe they're running their studio for a while, but they want to take it up to that next level? Like, what are some lessons that you feel like you've learned? It could be policy change, it could be something else of just that helps you sort of level up, because obviously when you are talking about having that many students, I am sure you're doing things differently than you did when you first started and you had a handful.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at the first level is like just learn about um, um, marketing, like learn. I mean, I'll say honest, just because I have owe this person a lot, and I was is like there's a lot of coaching programs out there for music school teacher, like music academy success systems is one that I like. Marty Ford is awesome. I recommend that. But you can also just learn about other options out there. um, and he doesn't. I That's just honest. Like, I just really admire that guy.
So
But
get your marketing game on, like study up
yeah,
on
get your
marketing.
marketing game. So, like, like, listen, this is like, there's always a lot of churn with kids' activities, right? So,
Yeah.
there's always going to be, if you start at the beginning of the month with, 100 students, about like at least five of them at a big school are going to quit, right? So, your churn is like 5%. Um, and then that starts to build up. You have to replace those students. So, like, what I think you want to start to learn, and this is for any business really that has like a membership where you have recurring monthly revenue, is you want to figure out how much do you have to spend to get a student? Like, you run Google AdWords, you run Facebook. I pay N number of dollars to get a student, but this student will stay for this many months and like spend this much money. And once you start to understand like the unit economics, you become a lot braver with your ad spend, let's say, right? Um, because there's a
So for
return. So
somebody who's right now eyes glazed and they're like ads,
yeah, right.
what would be like step number one of like try this and see what yeah, what do you think?
For advertising their services. I mean, make sure if it's like, make sure you have a nice website that has a really clear call to action. Like, you want them to fill out a form to get in touch with you. Obviously, a lot of like a free introductory class is helpful. Maybe not just for them, but also for you to make sure it's a good fit. Um, that's like, you have to have that before you have any kind of like try to spend money to generate traffic towards that web page. So maybe that, and uh, start to like make systems for things. I think it's really hard to say because I don't know where someone's at. Like,
I
if
know.
if you have your own studio and you want to like grow it into a bigger school, I mean, obviously, like, I feel like the biggest bottleneck that a lot of people are going to have is like space. Like, maybe you don't have the space to have another. So um and that's tough. That's You got to figure out how to like figure out, maybe a church has a cheap rate for a room, or I don't know.
Yeah.
um
But it sounds like regardless of whether you're just in it for yourself as an individual studio owner or if you're growing to multi-teacher, that it's really, I'm hearing that you want to study up on marketing, definitely get a nice website going, and really get some systems in place for yourself, and then eventually for others if you are scaling and growing.
yeah, that's it. I mean, this system thing just helps with delegating later,
Yeah,
for sure.
and strongly recommend Practice Space app for your system with basic
Yeah, that's right.
lessons and asynchronous video
Yeah, and
coaching,
student
lesson assignments,
motivation, and
motivation.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know we have to. It's like it's actually related in a lot of ways, because when we started to make Practice Space in 2019, one of our goals was to increase our student retention. And we're like, students that practice long, like more, stay music students longer. It's like not rocket science. And so it's like, how can we motivate them? And it kind of, that's where it grew. And it helps with student retention. I have I have personal experience that it definitely helps with that. So, but I'm
Yeah, well, I
biased,
think
so
that
who
is
knows?
that is really key, and I think when you use it, you really feel that that's where it came from. It feels really organic. It feels like it came from someone who is in it as a music teacher and as
Yeah,
an
totally.
instrumental, as a
I
private
appreciate
teacher,
that.
which is very different than like an outside system that's scheduling or organizing or doing a lot of the components that are in it but aren't really part of the field and
Yeah,
know the ins and outs of it. So yeah,
yeah,
kudos to
yeah.
you on that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I know we're going to wrap up. We
Okay.
asked you to do a couple things here. One was to create a little mini playlist of 5 songs that you are, at least in the moment today, feeling. And you
Yeah,
shared Skip Step by Nate Smith, Loser from the Grateful Dead, Nocturne
yeah,
number 1, C minor, Chopin, La Calma, Vicente Asensio, and Peru, Julian Lage. Did I say that correctly? I'm not sure.
yeah. Julian Lage. Yeah,
Julian
yeah.
Lage. Okay, tell me if you have to kind of sum up those 5 songs, what does that kind of say about you? Or
Diversity.
what do they mean
Diversity
to
in
you?
music.
What do they say? Yeah,
So I
diversity.
mean, yeah, like I don't I'm awful at those questions. I mean, to be honest with you, what I did is I went to Spotify in my history and like looked at the last 10 things that I listened to that weren't Elmo and Big Bird for my daughter. And we're and like I like those are were just that's beautiful music that I've listened to recently, like really listened to, not just like just played. I mean, I think yeah, it's they're all very different. I mean, I think Skip Step with Nate Smith, what's very interesting about that is just the meter. I think it's in like um I forget, but it's maybe in like 7/4, then 3/8, and 7/4, then 3/8, but it doesn't feel. It's like just skips like an eighth note. It feels like. Um, uh, La Cama is just beautiful, kind of Spanish impressionistic guitar music. Chopin, of course, beautiful nocturne. What was the second that I played?
Loser, Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I love the Grateful Dead. I love the stories. I've like that was like so high school for me. But my daughter, she's 2. She really seems to like the Grateful Dead, so we listen to that. I know "Loser" sounds a little negative, but it's a good story in that song. And then the fifth was
Peru.
Oh, Julian Lodge is like, what is going on with that guy? I don't even understand. Everyone should go listen to that. What is that guy doing? He's insane. He's just like elevated the guitar to a whole other level. I don't know what's happening with that guy. Yeah, I think I almost put the hokey pokey on there just because it's so fun to do it with I've got a little 2-year-old running around. So um yeah. So yeah, I don't, if I had to sum it all up, I guess that's a diverse playlist, right? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love the asterisk with the hokey pokey and your 2-year-old.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so
What about
sweet.
you? What's up on your playlist? What's at the
Oh
top of
my
yours?
goodness. It's an impossible question. It's not fair because I ask everybody and I need to sit and ask myself. And I think it changes with the
Yeah.
times.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But generally speaking, I like things that make me want to dance, things that make me really motivate and want to strive and overcome.
Yeah.
Usually something that's reflective and maybe not sad necessarily, but like, yeah, like deep in a way,
Yeah.
kind of a spiritual connection. So yeah,
Sure.
I would
Yeah.
probably be
Yeah.
looking for a mix of things too. And I
Yeah.
actually, I'm half Hispanic, so the Latin blood in me, when I was listening to yours, I was like, yes, I love this.
Nice. Nice.
So
That's
I'd have to
good.
throw that in there too, a little spice.
That's
Okay,
great.
wrapping it up with our rapid round of questions.
Okay.
Singing is just whatever comes to mind. The first thing, don't overthink it. Singing is blank.
Singing is blank.
Singing is, and then fill in the blank. Singing
Uh,
is,
fun.
teaching is,
Uh, rewarding.
You're nervous walking on stage. What's the first thing you do?
Take a deep breath.
You're home alone. What piece do you love to perform when no one's listening?
Something that I suck at.
That's really interesting, I have to say.
Well,
That's really cool.
that's a good time to improve at it.
Exactly. Yeah. That
Yeah.
quiet time. I totally get it. Me too. What's an example of something ordinary you find extraordinary that you're grateful for?
Uh, my daughter having a kid is, I don't know if it's ordinary, I mean, I think it's, just doing the ordinary extra is extraordinary. I feel like a lot of people forget that. It's like just day to day, like there's a lot of reward in just doing the ordinary extra.
I've never
So
heard it in that way, and I love it. I'm going to use that. But
yeah,
I
I
totally
didn't invent
wholeheartedly
it. I
agree.
just kept it. I caught it somewhere along the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
happy to catch that from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. The ordinary is extraordinary when we keep that in mind. And finally, we're celebrating you. The sky's the limit. How do you want to celebrate?
What, how do I want to say? Oh,
Yeah. If you wanted to
yeah,
celebrate,
go, yeah, nice restaurant with friends, maybe some wine, just nothing too crazy. Yeah.
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 Uh, Robert, this has been such a thrill to have you on the show. And more than that, to really just have a chance to thank you in real time for all the work that you've been doing. I'm sure I only have an inkling of an idea of all the work that went behind everything that you do. And I'm super grateful because I know that it's really impacting me and my students, my teachers, and having a ripple effect out into the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
All right, bye.
Thank you for joining me for this podcast. To learn more about my step-by-step approach to voice education, where I've consolidated 30 years of vocal study into 4 words even a 3-year-old can do, just go to www.vielka.com. That's Vielka.com. Happy singing!